Objection!
I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Flashback, 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 yay, yay, yay. I swear you could cut this game's time in half if you got rid of the flashbacks. I didn't know. I never knew the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Doc killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me! Yeah, Phoenix is not the type to keep up with anything. Lana wanted Doc convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Doc's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Is it? Is it really the last victim? I guess it is, okay. Touché. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Doc tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes, I was a witness in the Joe Doc trial. I didn't see that one coming. It happened 2 years ago, right about this time of the year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. And Joe Doc tried to take me hostage. But before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out suddenly. A bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. Permanent picture? What did you see the instant the crime occurred? Doc knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Then Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instance. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. Two years ago. You must have been 14, that's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. When I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies. Find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way Lana would never have to forge any. I see. Finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. I don't remember the moment when Doc stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that. No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? Who would do that? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. Couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. I wonder if you could lose your attorney job for that. Phoenix? After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. Oh, dialogue. Something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Why would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Doc had been taken in from questioning that day. Taken in by the police? Of course, this happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why run all the way to your sister's office? Because the detective officers in the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly, didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, she was a detective. Best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dock case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Used to be a detective. Better never talk with her. Okay. Let's talk to her. Lana, Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. Didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul, or why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Yeah, and that is also called now you're a criminal too. Believe me, I understand the risks. Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Would you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. Sorry, guys, I'm really trying to speed through this. Trying to get this over with. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. That trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana, what the witness, Ms. Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen her look so fazed before. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. Still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant, he was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Let's ask some more about that. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Doc. Second in command, that means the investigation the investigation lead was Damon Gant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. Even at the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dock was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. He tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Doc. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Doc that day. The investigation was in its final stages and Doc must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let the guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Doc. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect Joe Dock. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dock had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. Picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Doc under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right, quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident, just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall, yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with a ruling against Joe Dock. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office Damon Gant and I shared. Office Mr. Gant now occupies by himself, the chief's office. Let's have a look at the chief's office, the site of the final murder. Don't see Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem kind of quiet around here today. You're right. Chief seems the same though. Let's go look for some other people to talk to. Right. We can come back here later. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. Never thought things turned out this way when I woke up this morning. Sarah, you never know where life will lead you, huh, Bambina? Should know my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? His pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance. You all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? While the prospectors head west. If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either, all the detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? Well, some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon, you mean that knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. Question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there's a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, when the report finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars the SL9 incident left behind. There's something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired, I was demoted, and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Sky. The investigation lead, Damon Gant, and his second-in-command, Lana Sky. Wow, they love this picture. Wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yep, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Sky was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, her secret's too well guarded. I never found out. Lana's secret all started 2 years ago. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He's one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when it went down. Our first case together. How old was your brother? He was 27. Awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the king of prosecutors. I knew it. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It's the day of the evidence transfer. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning. By nightfall, there was thunder. Can't believe 2 years have gone by already. Tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Goodman was murdered and the locker was empty. So there you have it. It's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was enlightening. It's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth ain't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict, but someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone's Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios. Am I missing something? Maybe here. No one's here today. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where all the detectives are. But we proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered. Yes, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead, it looks like we just ended up making her look more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. Got to find all the answers. All of them. Here. No? That's Edgeworth's office. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Probably being questioned by an inquiry committee. Again. Took a real beating in court today. With Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. We'll come back later. Oh, what's this? Today it's deserted. Everyone's busy solving crimes. They're all in the conference room. Thanks. He actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media in tomorrow's trial. There's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Well, just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator up to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers. Hey, you're right, you can't go in there, it's off limits. Now I see where Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Freaking pipe organ! What a meticulously clean office. Look at this! It's like a church. Whoa! Where am I? In the chief's office, silly. That's what it said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was a genius. I never could remember what C was. How do we not notice him? Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. Put that paper he was reading in his desk. So, Ratto, you been swimming lately? What is it with this guy and swimming? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too. Wrong. Wrong accent, that's fine. I've had my hands full too with Mr. Marshall's misconduct and Lana's provocative statements. Provocative statements? Oh, you mean the forged evidence? 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture. Can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. Anyway, I'd love to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. All the same, still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said, there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Looks like we aren't welcome. Seems that case isn't over with yet after all. What do you mean? Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there. You mean like a clue? There's got to be a way we can get inside the chief's office. Great. Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm, just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long? Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask? He's under fire from the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. Sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Lana Sky's guilty, isn't she? Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there have been lots of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent as a prosecutor kept him safe from those who don't like him. But now with this, are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Hey, Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometime, my treat. Yes, sir. Is that the chief? You gotta take me back to that joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yes, sir. See, you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while the coffee was brewing. He seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Dark left behind was during the final attack. His final attack, you mean? When he killed Prosecutor Marshall trying to protect some girl. Some guile. Me. Seems Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl, even though her name is in the file. And that's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. What was it? Oh, I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. The moiter weapon. Oh, I forget it. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime, just a run-of-the-mill businessman. A businessman? What made him take to serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So it was an accident? An accident, yes, but transformed him into an animal. An animal? Joker came upon the scene and was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems to be a pretty careless animal, but that text went by a little too fast for me. Of course, this is all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim. Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Doc was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness, aka Emma. Okay, let's present him. Which murder weapon? This murder weapon or the other murder weapon? Okay, not that one. The other one. Oh, no, that. About this. Hey, is that... There's a tag attached to it with the label SL9 on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in the locker. On the day Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker. It was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it! Now I remember what that incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. What is it? Quick, before you forget again! This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. He traced it back to the store he bought it at, plus it had his fingerprints on it too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? Well, that's where his luck ran out. And you take a good look at the knife. You see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well anyway, take a guess where the broken off tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it in his own body. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Dark's knife? You bet, down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Autopsy report updated. Stabbed in the back, died from punctured heart and lung. A knife tip was in the wound. Why wasn't there in the initial autopsy report? That makes no sense! That one, if we don't know everything, that's fine. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant. It's not money, but it does concern the Chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The Chief's out now and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. What? Really? If I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh, sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. And that won't work either. Data was deleted the day he died. Ew. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting in. I wonder if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind. I don't know. What can we show him?